Hey guys, welcome to Lingua Marina channel. You've asked me a lot of questions on my Instagram about moving to the United States. Thank you, by the way, so much for asking them. And this is the time when I sit down and answer 25 of your questions about living in the USA. So if you're interested, if you have thoughts of maybe coming here as well, please continue watching this video. We're going to cover different topics. We're going to cover safety, we're going to cover taxes, we're going to cover medical insurance, we're going to cover groceries, like everything that is connected to life here in the US. Question number one, and yes, this is one of the most common questions these days, is safety in the US. And I know what's happening in the world these days is that if something happens somewhere in a distant country, then it's gonna flood the news. So for example, what I see is that Europe, for example, is flooded by refugees and that you cannot walk safely in Germany. But then I come to Germany, I come to Munich, and it's calm and nice, and maybe there are two homeless people, sleeping by Hauptbahnhof, which is like the main train station, and then that's it. Because when people make the news, they need to show the worst of what's happening. And probably there are like 500 square meters of Germany where these things are really happening, but if you just go to Germany, it's not like that. The same about the United States. Like if something happens, and I know shootings happen quite often, which is not a good thing, but when they happen, they're all over the news. And when you watch those news, you're like, oh, maybe, it's super unsafe in the US because it's happening like, I don't know, once in 3 months or whatever. You can have different attitudes to that. My attitude is always rely on data. And I actually found a website which is called Atlas and Boots, which ranks countries by their safety. Let's take a look at the map that they have here. So the map shows different countries of the world. We see that the US is actually orange, which is not the safest. The safest is green, and we see that Canada is the safest, Australia is the safest, Europe is pretty safe, and then there's Portugal and Ireland, which are like super safe as well. And we can also look at the countries' ranking. The most dangerous country in the world is Afghanistan, then Syria, then South Sudan. Then we'll look at like number 10, which is my home country, Russia. Again, comparing US to Russia, I don't know, I feel okay both in the US, and in Russia and in Germany, feel pretty much the same. Again, it depends where you go, right? There are regions in Russia I don't want to go to, there are regions in the US I don't want to go to, but there are also places in all the countries where nothing is happening. You're like living the most boring life. And then if we scroll further down, we see that the US is actually number 36 out of like 150 something countries. And yes, if you want to be in like super safe place, go to Canada. It's 158, number 158. But again, my thought here is when the airplane crashes, you see it all over the news, but your chances of getting in an airplane crash are really, really low. Because if we look at how many flights are there per day, and there are thousands of flights every day, and they are all safe, getting into a car accident has much higher probability, and your risk of dying from a heart disease because you eat too much, unhealthy fats, or your risk of dying from like artery diseases because you eat so much sugar, those risks are higher than getting on an airplane crash. It just depends. What is this media that surrounds you? I actually stopped watching the news because media does not represent what's actually happening in the world. It only represents the brightest, the scariest events. So again, it's up to you. I wouldn't say that America is the safest place in the world. We just saw the data, but it depends on your goals why you're coming here. The next question is, are you shocked by the number of homeless people here in San Francisco, Los Angeles, whatever? Yes, I'm not used to that. Well, I wasn't used to that when I came from Russia. And again, here it's all about the attitude. So I was at this exhibition in Santa Monica, Los Angeles, where they had photos from hospitals where they used to keep mentally ill people. I don't know how it's all over the world. I've seen those pictures from like post-Soviet countries, like similar. And yes, people are kept in cages, they are tied, they don't have any freedom, they don't get decent food, and the conditions are really, really bad. If I had a relative who had mental health problems, I wouldn't have wanted him to stay in that facility. Because if he's capable of living, of taking care of himself, and the majority of homeless people here, even if they're mentally ill, they are, navigating through their lives. Yes, some of them are, hooked to drugs and stuff. But America is a democratic country, so people are giving a lot of freedom. It's not really up to me to decide what to do with those homeless people. I would say I just avoid areas where there are too many homeless. In my neighborhood where I live, I see them from time to time, but it's like once a day, maybe, like in any big city. So I wouldn't say I'm shocked. I know the problem exists. I don't know what's the right way to solve it, because my goal of coming to the US was not to hide myself from all the homeless people and all the crime out there in the world. My goal of coming here was to build my own company. I'm focused on my goal. If your goal is to get away from homelessness crisis, to get away from unsafe places, go to Switzerland, go to Ireland, go to Canada, go to those other places, if that's a real concern. But another thing that comes to my mind, if you're concerned like about safety or something that is like really psychological, like you're really scared, maybe talk to a psychiatrist first, like maybe talk to a professional. When you come to a new place, if you have phobias, they can evolve into something else, right? And then in the safest place in the world, you would have another phobia, and moving to a different place wouldn't really solve your problem. So really think about it. Where should I start my immigration process? A couple of advice here. First, work on your English language. If you're not an English native speaker, English is going to be a huge problem here, because nobody here, well, almost no one here is going to speak your language. You would need to solve a lot of problems in English. You would need to sign documents. You would need to, start companies, apply for jobs, go through interviews. Like, this is the whole process, and I'm going to talk about that a little later in this video, about things that you would have to do. But English is like a must.
English language never lets you down. Oh.
And there are certain things you can do to help your English. I would highly recommend my course. It's called Intermediate to Advanced, and I've recorded it together with an ESL accredited teacher from Los Angeles. So when you go from intermediate to advanced, it's basically 2 levels. You would have classes every single day during 30 days on that course. It's going to be me teaching, it's going to be Vanya teaching. They're pre-recorded classes. You also have access to a live stream where you can ask questions. And this is a comprehensive course that has everything from grammar, vocabulary. I talk a lot about pronunciation. I talk a lot about your fears of speaking English. I talk about how to sound more like a native speaker, what phrases you can use, how to be more confident, like all of those aspects that you really need when you learn English for immigration purposes, for work purposes, for whatever. The link is below. Please sign up. This is one of our best-selling courses. We launched it this year. We've had over 3,000 students, and people are so happy with this course. The link will be below. Looking forward to seeing you on that course. We also have a special promotion for this course going on right now. The prices are as low as $59 per course, but we're gonna raise them soon, so don't miss the chance to reserve your spot with a discount. And the next advice for moving in the US, let's say you fixed your English, let's say you took our intermediate to advanced course, and you're like, okay, so what's the next step? The next step is actually figuring out your goal. And I know a lot of people are just unhappy in the place where they are, and they think that the job's that bad, they think that their manager is a bad guy, they don't like people that they're surrounded with, and they think that if they move to the US, everything is gonna change. And yes, when you come here, you're like amazed by the sun. I was amazed by the sunshine, by smiling people, by all the opportunities, but a year is gonna pass and you're gonna get used to what surrounds you, and your problems are gonna come back. And that's the worst. When you're coming here just because you're running from something, again, like the same thing as with safety. A year will pass and you will be like, oh, America's a shitty place. I can't find a job here. Everyone is super competitive. I'm tired. Everything is so expensive, blah, blah, blah. But when you're coming here with an exact goal, like I came here, I want to grow my business internationally, and I know Silicon Valley is the best place, or I want to grow my YouTube channel and I've already started it in my country, and I know moving to the US is this new content that I would share. Just have a specific goal and work on it. And then, all the problems that you encountered during your immigration process would fade away. Are groceries expensive? Groceries are pretty expensive, and I'm gonna talk a lot about prices in this video. But what you shouldn't really do is you shouldn't compare prices in your own country to American prices, because the level of income here is completely different. And I live in one of the most expensive cities in the US, so if you just listen to me and then you come to South Carolina, you're gonna find the prices are a lot lower there. So for example, how my groceries routine looks like. Twice a week I have delivery from Instacart, and I'm gonna leave a link below so you can also use it if you're in the US. Really convenient. So they deliver groceries. Groceries have arrived. Yogurts, more yogurts, cottage cheese, sour cream. What's that? Oh, condensed milk, my favorite. Sauerkraut. $60 is each delivery. Then once a week I would go to a farmer's market to get fresh fruit and vegetables, because it's really a different quality. I can totally say if a tomato is from a farmer's market or from even like the best organic shop. So there I would normally spend like $70. And I also have a girl who comes in once a week to cook meals for us, and we pay her around like $70 for cooking, and we also go out every single day because yes, we have that cooked food, we have groceries at home, but because we're so busy during the day, whenever I feel that something is expensive, I just tell myself I need to make more money. So, and yes, we go out every day. For two people, it's going to be around $50 per meal. So yes, it's expensive, but I came to the US to, you know, grow financially and grow as an entrepreneur. So for me, this is not something that's stopping me.
Nothing's gonna stop us now.
The next question is it expensive to rent an apartment in the United States? Again, the same thing as with groceries. If you want to rent something that I rent, like this place, it's around $6,000 a month, which is again a lot. You can rent a room 15 minutes drive from here for like $800, completely different lifestyle, but yes, you can save a lot of money. You can go to New Mexico, like a small town there, and rent a couch at somebody's home for $160. So it depends on where you're going, really. But you can take a look at different websites. There's hotbeds.com, there's zillow.com, and if you're in the States, you can just walk around and look at the leasing offices signs and just go in and ask how much the rent is. Cultural aspects in America, like do I go to theaters? Are there a lot of theaters or like performances? I come from a country where culture is a big thing, like people go to theaters a lot, people go to museums a lot, but I am not that kind of person. I've never So we have an opera house here in San Francisco. We have San Francisco Ballet. We have a lot of museums, and I've been here since 2016, and I haven't done anything. Like I haven't done a ballet show or like opera show. I've been to a couple of museums when my mom came here because she likes that. What I love, I actually like when I come to it's not even a performance, it's a talk by entrepreneurs. And again, because I'm this entrepreneurial kind of personality, I prefer it more when I come somewhere to hear a successful businessman talk about his experience and have ability to ask questions. I like conferences. So if you want that cultural life, of course it's here. I wouldn't say US is the place to go for like ballet and opera and stuff, but yes, there are these things, and if you want them, you can get them. Beauty industry, and I know it's concern for certain girls, for example. Is it expensive? It is pretty expensive, but again, it's not a good idea to compare stuff one country to another. 2 weeks ago, I had manicure and pedicure done in LA, and I paid $100 for both, including tips, and it was a really nice place. They gave me a massage, it was aromatherapy, really nice. In San Francisco, I used to have a girl who would come to my place and do manicure and pedicure at home for $60, which is also not a lot, but she moved to LA and I stopped doing that. Where did you get the money to move to the US? So again, I moved here because we got an offer from an accelerator to invest $100,000 into a company. And we had some small savings. We had like, I don't even remember, but like maybe $2,000, $3,000 to come here. And then our CTO, who was a third co-founder, he had some savings. So we survived, and it's really survived because Silicon Valley is really expensive. So we survived on that. And then we got investment investment, and because we were going through the program, we were able to spend some of that investment on renting a small apartment, 1 bedroom in Mountain View, get some groceries and stuff. Again, you need to come here with a goal. If you're coming to study, then you would need to either save money or get financial aid. If you're coming here to work, I would say secure a place before you come here, or at least secure interviews. So you come here, do your interviews, and get an offer. If you're coming here to, start a business, we already had experience in business. We started in 2011. We started in Russia, and when we got some traction, we came here in 2015, and we had an offer. So it's not like we were just coming, to spend the last money and to inspire. Health insurance. Okay, my health insurance costs $600 a month, and we pay the same for Dimitri. And it doesn't mean that it covers everything, because every time I go to see a doctor, I pay around $55, depending on the doctor, from $35 to $55 copay. And sometimes things happen that my insurance doesn't cover something. So I was referred to this procedure in a different hospital. I came to that hospital, they did a procedure, then I ended up paying $700 out of pocket just because that hospital was out of network. So there are in-network providers and out-of-network, and you really have to check every single time you go somewhere if the provider is in-network, and if he's not, then you're gonna have some problems paying your bills. And the next question would be like, what was the toughest thing about moving to the US? I would say navigating health insurance, because I don't know how people do that, because I have an assistant who helps me with that, like calling my insurance, making sure that the doctor is in network, like asking all the financial questions, but it is crazy. Like seriously, there are so many things you need to know. Ideally, you would need to work for a company that has the best insurance in the world, like I don't know, Google, Facebook, whatever, like all the tech companies have the best insurance, so you don't have to worry. If you're like me, like entrepreneur, you would have to figure out insurance yourself. And yes, it takes a while. And yes, it takes a lot of research. So yeah, but on the other side, again, yes, it's expensive, yes, it's complicated, but I'm so glad I have an opportunity to go to like the best doctors, the best hospital in the world in its area, and it's a 10-minute drive from my house. So the level, if you know where you need to go, if you know how to find a good specialist, you can really find good people here. The next question is about bureaucracy, like paying for gas, paying for utilities and stuff. I would say everything is really easy and really automated. I have this PG&E service every month. I just click one button and they deduct payments from my card. We pay around, I think, $30 a month for like light and gas. The rest is taken care of by my building. So trash, sewer is included in rent. I think it's like $120. So they just deduct everything together. And what I like about these modern buildings is that when something breaks, I can just call the reception and they would come in and fix it, like change the light bulb, something, the vent is dirty or something else happened, they just come and fix, which is amazing, and it saves a lot of time. The next question is whether you can use PayPass here in the US. You can use Apple Pay. Not everywhere, but I would say in San Francisco, like 80% of places would accept Apple Pay, which is a huge progress, because when I came here back in 2015, it was impossible to pay with like PayPass. When you just tap your card and the payment goes through, you would need to insert your card, type in your PIN number, and the majority of American banks still don't issue cards with PayPass, which for me is like a person who spends so much time in Europe. This is like the last century, but I hope that America is getting there. At least you can use your phone to pay, which is already a progress. Food in the US, whether it's made of plastic. Okay, so again, I think I live in a place where you can find anything, like gluten-free bread with vegan butter, and then organic, whatever you're looking for, organic macadamia nut milk. People are crazy about food in California, and yes, when I came here, like first impression, oh, there's only McDonald's, I don't know where to go, but I think it's the same for any country. When I come to Europe and I don't know where to go, I end up going to places which are not really good. I would recommend using Yelp, which is an app that helps you find a good place to eat based on reviews. Because I spent several years here, I already know what's the best place to go to get meat. I know the best farmers markets. I know the best places to get my groceries. So I think it's the matter of where you shop. Yes, you can go to Walmart or Target and you won't get the best produce. But if your goal is to eat healthy, delivery. It's absolutely possible here in the US. A lot of places where you can get different stuff, deliveries, etc. I actually miss American food now when I travel, because avocados in California are the best. Oranges in California are the best. I love tomatoes, peaches, like all of that stuff. And now I feel like I really want to eat. I hate talking about food in the videos because like all my thoughts are evolving around that peach that I have in the fridge right now. Do you ever feel like coming back home? Right now, no. I love to go there for a couple weeks. I love to see my parents. I love to see my grandparents, some, other people that I communicate with. And when I'm in Russia, like, I really like it. I like Europe as well. I like traveling. But I also feel that when I'm there, I don't know what I should do. Like, yes, I could film some videos, but somehow I feel more inspired in the US. I don't know how to explain it. And I feel that here in the US, I'm surrounded by people who are much more successful than I am. And I feel there's, space to grow. When I'm in Europe, I'm surrounded by people who are already happy with their lives. They like the work-life balance. They start work at 9, they finish at 5. Their goal is to live this, safe, happy life, which is not my type of personality, at least right now, and I feel more inspired in the US. So definitely not coming back in the nearest future, but you never know, never say never. But what I feel right now is I want to be in this challenging environment, an environment that makes me want to grow. How much salary is left after paying taxes? So taxes in the US are approximately 40% of your salary. Again, depending on how much you're making, but if you're making like $10,000 a month, deduct $4,000 out of it, and you're roughly left with like $5 to $6K, again, depending on where you are, what your tax bracket is. But you can also be an independent contractor. So when you're an independent contractor, you only pay, there's a self-employed tax, and there's like profit tax. So what happens to me and my YouTube income? I have an S-Corp. So I have this money coming in from my courses, from like product placements that I do, but then I can also deduct my expenses. Like, for example, I just got a new camera that you're looking through through its lens. I can buy some clothes for my videos, like makeup. I can hire a cameraman, hire an editor. This is all deductible from my business revenues. If I don't make too much money, there are so many things I can deduct and I end up like paying zero tax. Or again, it depends. But my advice here is to hire a good CPA who's going to help you navigate through the tax system. Well, it's not that complicated, but there are so many things that would help you save on taxes, like some things you can deduct. But if you're working for a big company, expect to pay around 40% in taxes. The next question is advice to Marina from 2015, when Marina was just moving to the US. What would be my advice? This is a really good question. But I would say when we just moved here, I think we spent too much time going to events that didn't really make sense. Just because we didn't know how to navigate the society, we didn't really know what worked. And we had this clear goal of growing a company, but we also ended up going to a lot of meetups for entrepreneurs. And we ended up in those meetups and we realized that people who go there, they don't really know what they're doing with their lives, and they're still like figuring out a new business idea. And we spent too much time going there. We would go to other places, like other cities, to attend those events. I'd rather we had focused on investor meetings or focused on a product instead of just going to those meetups. If we try to make it a more general advice, I would say only focus on activities that bring you closer to your goal. If you see a lot of opportunities coming, yes, there would be a lot of opportunities, just, stay focused and prioritize whatever is important for you. How do credit cards work here? Great question. And credit history is a huge thing in the US. So basically, when you come here, you can only start building your credit history once you have your social security number. And you can get it after you get a legal status here in the US, like a work visa or a student visa. You can't really get a social security number if you're just a tourist. And a social security number is linked to whatever status you have now. So what you can do as a tourist, you can just start a debit card just to start building a relationship relationship with your new bank. When I just got my social security number, I went to the Bank of America and I started a secured credit card, which means that I put $300 on the card and they gave me $300 credit line, which doesn't make sense at all, but in this way I was able to start building my credit history. The second life hack is that if you have somebody in the US already with good credit history, you can ask them to put you as a co-signer on their account so you have access to their funds. Their credit history transfers to you. That worked for me, so I did that. And also start some credit lines once they hit 2 years of age. That will really help your credit history because, for example, I was told by my bank that in September I would be able to apply for a mortgage because I would have several credit lines that are older than 2 years and I have good credit history because I was never late with my payments and stuff. You know, financing is cheaper here. Like getting a house, you would pay like 5% interest. Again, depends on the terms that you're getting. We financed a car. I think it's a great tool to use if you want to buy things that you cannot like fully afford right now. Or even if you can, maybe you can invest money in something better. Like I would rather invest my money in a new course or like new equipment than just buy a car and, you know, and sit with zero cash in my bank account. What are the things that I don't like about American people, like American traits? I would say there are a couple of things that I wasn't really used to and I'm used to them. First is they are really good salespeople and sometimes they just, you know, tell you that they have this amazing business and they're so successful and they're so great, but then you dig deeper, they're kind of average and they're just, you know, they're not lying. It's just the way they present their success, it seems so big when it's not. And the second thing, I've met some, again, it's not about everyone here in the US, it's just what I see, what I notice from time to time. The second thing is that people promise something and then they never do that. Like for example, I met a couple of Americans who'd be like, oh, let's hang out together, let's go to see the movie on the weekend. And you're like, yeah, let's do it. And for example, in my culture, when I say let's go to a movie on the weekend, we really go there, we really do that if I say yes. In America, you say yes and then nothing happens. They never call you back. It's just, you know, it's like a social act of just inviting somebody somewhere but never going there. I don't know. And this is something you just have to get used to. Are you still in touch with your friends back home in the US? Well, the thing is, when I moved to the US, I didn't really have friends. I'm not that kind of person that would have a lot of friends. I have some people that I communicate with, and yes, they're in Russia. I met up with one of my friends in Italy this summer, and a lot of my friends are traveling all the time, so I'm in touch with them. So I would say if you are interested in keeping the relationship, if you're similar, if those people are traveling, yes, absolutely, you can maintain your relationship. If it was just like kind of this friendship where you just go out with someone just because you have nothing to do, and I had those kind of, well, I didn't really have them back in St. Petersburg because I didn't really have time to go out, but those kinds of friendships, I wouldn't even call them friendships, but they don't survive, I think, to my opinion, right? I think because it wasn't really based on common interest, it was just based on you know, you having nothing to do on a Saturday night. Unexpected expenses. Unexpected expenses include medical bills. They include insurances, like car insurance if you would need to get it, deposits, like if you're renting an apartment, that would be like $1,000, whatever, it depends on the apartment, $1,000 deposit or $2,000 deposit. So deposits, and you know, fines. In the first months of our lives here, we got several huge fines. First was for wrong parking, was $80, and second one was, oh my god, we were towed away, our car was towed away, and we paid $600 to get it back. Recommend a bank. For newcomers on a tourist visa, I would recommend the Bank of America because they have this secured credit card. The second bank I would recommend is Chase. It's my favorite bank. They have amazing credit cards where you can accumulate miles and then fly business class for like $80 because you have so many miles. So I use Chase for my businesses and for my personal credit cards these days. Mobile phones. Again, if we compare it to any other country, I think communication is expensive here. Well, I have this crazy plan that is international as well. So whenever I travel outside the United States, my phone is working, which is very crucial for me because a couple of years ago I went to Europe and my phone stopped working and I lost access to banks. And because I manage finance in all the companies, that wasn't the best idea. So now my phone works wherever I travel, and I pay around $80 to $90 a month, and it's unlimited. But whenever I'm abroad, I pay $10 extra a day to have this unlimited access to data and calls, etc. You can save money. So my provider is AT&T, but you can also save a lot of money by doing cheaper plans. Like when we just came here, I got T-Mobile. I think it was $5 a month, something like that, very cheap, and it included maybe like 20 minutes, 20 texts, and then every week I paid maybe like $3.99, I don't remember, for like the basic data usage plan, so I could have access to internet. So I would say minimum would be like $25 a month. How do you find friends when you move to the US? This is a very easy question to answer, because if you're moving here for a goal, again, you don't need a lot of friends, you would need a couple. And if you're moving here to build a company, then meet other entrepreneurs. If you're coming here to look for a job, go to meetups where they teach you how to build your resume, or maybe attend a course, a class where they teach you your professional skills, like what you're interested in. Build relationships where your interest lies, and I think these are the best relationships. Did you visit the US when you moved there? Why San Francisco, why Silicon Valley? Yes, I actually visited the United States in 2013, and this is when I fell in love with the country and decided to move here, because I was just excited about all the entrepreneurial spirit that was surrounding me, and the sunshine and the happy people. And why Silicon Valley? Just because we got investment, and I got accepted to the University of Florida, and if we didn't get investment, I would have gone to, it wasn't Miami, it was Gainesville in Florida. But because we got investment, it was in Silicon Valley, the program took place here, and then we just decided to stay because it's the best place to run a business. Okay, and the last but not the least, cars and insurances. You cannot survive in the US without a car if you live in a smaller place. Like New York is fine without a car. San Francisco, 50-50. We used to live here without a car, but when we have it now, it's a lot easier. Los Angeles is impossible without a car. Chicago is okay without a car. So it depends on where you're going. You can get a cheap car for like $2,000. The first car, it was $2,500. Insurance depends on where you're coming from, your experience. I think our first insurance was $60 a month. Now we pay $170 a month for a Porsche Cayenne, and this insurance covers everything. It has a $250 deductible. But for example, our car was in a parking lot and somebody scratched it, so they had to color the bumper and they had to replace one of the lights, and the bill was $1,900, and we only paid $250, and insurance covered everything and also provided us with a vehicle for the time when it was repaired. So I think it's a great deal because, again, if we go back to Russia, where I'm from, it would be a lot more expensive. That was it from me, guys. Thank you guys so much for asking those questions. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Lingua Marina, and don't forget to sign up for our intensive course, Intermediate to Advanced in 30 days. The link is below. I'm looking forward to seeing you there, and I'm looking forward to teaching you more English very soon. Bye-bye.